A father that travels 800 miles long distance, or a father that lives long distance away from his children, can have real challenges in life, okay? Especially if he's a single father, and especially if he's a father that drives trucks and has to travel and come back and forth, home. And it can be a strain on your marriage. It could be a strain on a relationship. But most of all, it can be a strain on your children if you're not mindful of what's taking place in your life. Okay? So today, we want to focus in on fathers who have to be long distance away from their children and how to cope and how to handle those relationships. Because that's what's important, how you handle the relationship as a traveling man. Now, the truth is there anything wrong with being a father that travels? No, there's nothing wrong with it compared to what people say. It can be a challenge, but there's nothing wrong with it. Is there something missing? Yes, there would be something missing in the event that you are having to travel and do things, away from your children because your children are growing. Okay. Now, the truth is, you're gone. That's what's taking place. The next thing is, are you willing to find a solution that will bring you back closer to your children? Now, it could be a situation as simple as taking a pay cut just to get back in the area of vicinity where your children at if you're not with their mom. Okay. If you're married, if the lifestyle is not to a point where you can't bring it back down and reduce it to where you can spend time with the children, then you may want to consider that. That's what's important when it comes to understanding what's really taking place as a long distance father. Okay. Now, for me, I traveled for years. All of my children have grown up to become adults, and I traveled. Okay. I traveled all of their life to provide, to give them what they want. Was I met with my challenges? Yes, I was met with challenges. Mom, the children, because when you're away, mom and the children have a relationship that doesn't include you. And you have to stop and pay attention to that. If that relationship, man, doesn't include you, how do you get inside of that? Okay. You have to consider the fact that number one, like I said, it ain't the issue of whether traveling is bad or good. Okay. Number two, you haven't done anything wrong other than provide for your children. Okay. And that becomes two of the greatest issues. But the relationship. Now, this is the part that I really want you to catch. Okay. The solution to that is simply this: always being mindful of who your children are to you and who you are being to them. Okay. So, number one, find a way to stay in contact with your children at all times. Okay. Now, some of you may say, well, I already do that. Well, this is not for you. It's for the guy that doesn't have that insight to see that it's all right to put the children on a telephone schedule with you, whether it's morning or at night. Put them in a situation where they are expecting you to call at a certain time and they look forward to you calling at a certain time. Okay. Number two, address any concerns that your children have concerning their life. Okay. And if they have concerns concerning you. Okay. So open up that line of communication. Remember, you're already at a distance from them and you don't want the call to end, short because one of them decide, I'm upset with you because of what you just said. What you want to do is to be able to probe and ask the questions that are necessary until you make it back and be in person with them. Because once you get in person with them, your job is not over then. You got to sit down and pay attention to who that person is becoming. That is called your child. Okay? Whether you have one or two, each one of them has to have attention. Okay? So stop and pay attention to your children very close while you're a long distance. Put that telephone call first. When you get through taking care of everything, I don't care if it's early in the morning. That means if you got to get up and turn around and pray, get your meditation in, get your workout in, you make sure that you make time out to go and call the children and talk to them. Now, what about your wife if you're married? Of course, talk to your wife, okay? But at the same time, put those children on the telephone. Tell them, hey, I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your concerns, okay? Now, you may not be able to solve a problem, especially if they got to go to the dentist, especially if they got to go to the doctor's appointment, whatever. You may not be able to solve that situation. Why? Because once again, you're a long distance, okay? Now, you want to meet them. And I want to address this. There's a solution to when you feel that down moment that you're not able to be with your children because of your job taking you away from home. Okay? Rest assured, from my experience, I did call my children. I had a friend one time tell me, he said, man, it ain't like you gone, man. You're managing a family and you on the road. He said, man, I saw that. Well, that came because I was consistently calling the children to speak to them morning. It didn't matter. Well, what that was doing, building expectation for them. Also, there are going to be times, it goes back and forth now. It's going to be times where you're going to have to say some things that they ain't going to like, okay? And you're going to have their mom or somebody say, hold that phone right there, especially when you got a speakerphone. Hold that phone right there. And you just going to have to go and say what you need to say, whether it's a disciplinary, a warning. Now, here's the thing you don't want to do. You don't ever want to warn a child that you're going to spank them and it's 5 days out, okay? And you come back home and then you go back out and you didn't address that spanking, then they're going to start taking you for granted, okay? So if you tell your child you're going to spank them, that's one of the things I tried to delay. If I had to spank my child and I'm 5 days out, guess what? I had to make sure I addressed that. So do you really think I want to always say something like that or put a threat like that and don't carry it out when I make it home? That child gonna turn around and say, you're a joke. It may not tell you in your face, but that's what they're saying in their head. This is just practical living, man. If you tell your child something while you are at long distance, ensure that you carry that out. Don't say it and don't fulfill on it. Don't tell them you're going to take them to the park. And then when you make it home, if it's not raining, I think that child got to get to the park. You can sleep all you want to, but that child better go to that park because that's what they're banking on, your word. Your word is all you got. Okay? Now, here's the final thing on the solution of handling long distance travel. Minimize confrontations as much as possible, okay, while you're over the phone, okay? Sometimes you and the wife or you and the girlfriend may want to go at it, but try to minimize that. Why? Because you're long distance, she's at home with the children, and the next thing you know, you got her upset, she upset, the children can feel that vibe now, okay? They can feel that vibe. Now, you think mom gonna be the bad guy? No, you gonna be the bad guy. Why? Because you left her upset. So sometimes you might have to just say, we'll talk about that later if you don't mind. And if she says, I want to talk about it now, go right ahead. Now, what you rebuttal with, that's on you. But don't leave her mad. If you and especially when you're married, You just got to tell wife, hey, let me address that when I make it in. I can do a better job if I once I'm in because there's nothing I can do while I'm out here. Because you don't need to be out there on the road upset. You don't need her at the house upset where the kids are picking up that energy. You don't need that. And it gets us in trouble, man. We don't have no defense when we come back and them little kids looking at you like, what you do to my mom? Especially if she decide to leave that phone on on speaker. You got an issue. So you're a long distance dad. You don't have much to fight with. Okay? You're already at a disadvantage because you're a long distance. So begin to understand that problems with traveling and being long distance, yeah, they happen and they're real. But understand the truth that there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that you got to learn to deal with it. You got to learn how to handle what's happening and the solutions. Okay. Number one, mean what you say. Okay. Number two, don't leave mama upset on the phone if you don't have to because the kids are picking up that energy. Okay. And number three, the greatest thing, once again, is saying what you mean and doing what you say you're going to do for them. You got to become very cognitive of the fact that that has to happen. Okay. Now, be encouraged. Be encouraged. Always know that, especially if you have set a goal, if you have a plan of execution from traveling, from being away from your kids so much, believe that it can happen. But Solomon, what if they graduate before it comes to pass? Just be more diligent at paying attention, okay? At recognizing this one key fact, and it's going to shock you. Hold on. Watch. It is one thing you must always be aware of is how you are being in the moment. Recognize if you're sad, just call it. I'm sad. Okay? If you're happy, I'm happy. If you're a loving father at that moment, you're a loving father. But recognize who you are being, and you will never be upset or guilty about the fact that you have to travel and provide for your family and do what's necessary to ensure that they have a life. Okay? Never, ever be upset about that. Okay? Now, I want to challenge you this week for all dads that are long distance and traveling. Don't forget, if you haven't already set a schedule to call your children on a regular, do that this week. Call them and then call them again until it resonates and become comfortable for them that you're going to call them at that time. And they're going to expect you to call. Now, what if you got an ex that ain't cooperative? Now, I've been there too, okay? At least ask one thing. Just let me call the children. And if she don't do it, guess what? It's gonna work its way out one way or another because you have that desire to work things out with your children where they're comfortable with you. Okay? So this week, set up appointments and schedules to call your children on a regular. Get started with it right away. Until next time, don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Be blessed.